It's the biggest game in Texas Tech football program history, at least so far, as the Red Raiders will head to Arlington in search of their first Big 12 title in program history. Standing in their way is a familiar foe in the number 11 BYU Cougars. Today's video will preview the game and discuss what stats matter, players to know for the Cougars. I'll give my score prediction and we'll discuss the odds. Let's get to it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in to today's preview video. It is unbelievable that we are here. It truly is. If you would have told me a mere year ago that we would be here, I might have laughed in your face. That being said, I knew Texas Tech was headed on the right direction, but that historic portal class and now putting your, money where your mouth is and also getting to where you need to be on the gridiron as a program, well, you're here now and you're not one of those teams that's going to be taken lightly anymore. And we'll discuss that in today's video as well. But before we do, you know how I like to start these game preview videos. Let me know your score prediction for the Big 12 championship in Arlington between the number 11 BYU Cougars and your number 5 Texas Tech Red Raiders. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the preview and discuss, the stats that matter, shall we? See them on your screen right there. The Red Raiders have the best scoring offense in the Big 12 at 43.2 points per game. BYU, a respectable 34, coming in at number 3 in the Big 12. The Red Raiders and the Cougars have the best two scoring defenses in the Big 12, although there is a touchdown difference between how many points they allow their opponents to score. Yes, Texas Tech has the second best all-time Big 12 scoring defense, averaging 11.3 points allowed per game. Romello Height and, yes, David Bailey, who Joey McGuire said should be good to go against BYU, well, they are creating issues for opposing teams. And BYU, again, very respectable defense. In fact, one of the better defenses in all of college football. That being said, Texas Tech left quite a bit on the bone last time these two teams played out in the 806 on College Game Day, where the Red Raiders had 5 field goals, with the majority of them coming in the red zone in drives that stalled out. Now, there were a couple of drops in that game, but I digress. Let's go ahead and look elsewhere around these two teams. Texas Tech, the number 1 offense in terms of yards per game. BYU, number 6 in the Big 12. The Texas Tech Red Raider defense, no surprise, has the best defense when it comes to yards allowed per game, just under 260 at 258.9. The next closest, surprisingly enough, is Arizona at 301.6. Really good stuff by Coach Brennan out there in Tucson this year. But the BYU Cougars come in as the number 3 defense in terms of yards allowed per game this year in the Big 12 at 324.6. Now, this is the big difference maker in this football game. The BYU Cougars have the second best rushing offense in the Big 12, just about a yard ahead of Texas Tech, 0.9 yard of a yard to be exact. That was difficult to say. Texas Tech comes in at number 3 in terms of the rushing offense in the Big 12. But the Red Raiders have the best rushing defense, not only in the Big 12, but in all of college football, allowing a measly 2.3 rushing yards per attempt. They have allowed only 5 rushing touchdowns on the season, 68.9 yards, people. That is insane what this Texas Tech defense has done. And BYU has already faced it, and it did not go well for them, as they got, their lowest total in Big 12 play when it came to rushing the football this season out in the 806. We'll discuss that here in a little bit and how it may be a little different, but I don't think we can expect it to be that much different. We move on to the passing side of things. Texas Tech has the second best passing offense in the Big 12 at 295.6 yards per game. They do have, however, the most explosive offense in the Big 12, do the Red Raiders. And BYU, they're okay against the pass, nothing special. 205 yards allowed through the air this season on average. Do the Cougars allow? Texas Tech comes in at 4th in the Big 12 with 190 through the air. Now, I say all this in the sense of, and we'll talk about him here in a little bit, about how this could change from the perspective of the Red Raiders may give up a little bit more on the ground against BYU in this game. But LJ Martin had the most explosive run in that BYU Texas Tech game. On the second play of the game, it was for 12 yards for BYU. That was their most explosive run. After that, BYU did really nothing on the ground. And we talked about it leading into that football game. If you could make a true freshman in Bear Brockmeyer a passer, it was going to be a field day for the Texas Tech defense. And other than one drive where Texas Tech was playing prevent defense for a majority of it, that's what it was. And I would expect a lot of the same. But that being said, we do need to look at the names that matter for BYU in this football game. Let's go ahead and start with the aforementioned Bear Brockmeyer. For a true freshman, he had a really good season out in Provo. 14 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions, was sacked 14 times, and quite a few of those came against the Red Raiders out in the 806. That being said, he's completing about 65% of his passes, but the name to know that I think will be better because he is healthy going into this matchup, or at least healthier than he was leading into the matchup out in the 806 between the Cougars and the Red Raiders. LJ Martin, one of the premier running backs, not only in the Big 12, but all of college football, averaging north of 5.5 yards per carry. He had 1,229 yards rushing this season for the Cougars, 11 touchdowns. Bear Brockmeyer and him tied for rushing touchdowns this season. Bear Brockmeyer, I mentioned it. He is a guy that can beat you with his legs. If you can keep him in the pocket and force him to be a passer, your chances of winning, just like you did out in the 806, go exponentially up if you were the Red Raiders. But LJ Martin, I think, will be better in this football game. He did struggle a couple of weeks ago against Cincinnati, but we'll see exactly how it goes in terms of, and when I say struggle, he struggled in terms of the yards per carry. It was below 4. That being said, I think Texas Tech is going to have a challenge on their hands. They've handled it once. BYU will obviously make adjustments. They are a very well coach team, and maybe there's a little bit of smoke around their head coach leaving for Penn State. How does that impact the Cougars in this matchup? I digress a little bit there, but we move on to the receiving side of things. They are led by 2 guys in Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston that are 2 of the better wide receivers in college football and really the Big 12 as well. 2 guys that Texas Tech held in check except for one drive in their game out in the 806. I expect them to have a similar game plan. Obviously, BYU will make adjustments and everything like that. But Texas Tech will as well. And the Red Raiders have the best corner in all of the Big 12 in Bryce Pollock, who, simple and plain, does not get enough credit for how well he has played this year, considering all the love the front 7 has gotten for the Red Raiders defense. All right, we move on to the defense. And there's a couple of guys I'm looking at here. Jack Kelly is the guy that I'm looking at most. Just, again, 9 sacks. That's pretty damn good. Him and Romello Height on the similar plane. Romello Height has 8.5 sacks on the year. David Bailey obviously leads the Big 12 and the country at 12.5. But Jack Kelly is a guy that can get after the passer. He is a guy that is going to be really all over the place, and a guy that Howard Sampson and Jacob Ponton are going to have to know where he is at all time, in a real difference maker. Now, when it comes to the secondary, Evan Johnson leads the way with 4 interceptions, or ties Tanner Wall, with 4 interceptions. So Wall and Johnson lead the way in the secondary with 4 interceptions. I don't know, man. When it comes to Bear Morton and how he's playing right now, I think it's night and day different from what he was doing against BYU. There were a couple of throws in that first half against BYU where, remember that Coy Aiken throw where Coy Aiken had to come back and get the football because Bear Morton just didn't get it far enough downfield. Just call a spade, right? He just didn't throw it far enough downfield. I don't think you got to worry about that with Bear Morton. There were a couple throws in that West Virginia game where I was like, all right, he's back. He's back. He may not be 100%, but damn it, he's 95%. And that's what you need at this time of the season if you are the Texas Tech offense. And this explosive offense is not just on the ground. It is through the air as well, and that is going to create nightmare scenarios for this BYU defense that, again, is really good. It's not Texas Tech good, but it is really good. And there is a reason that BYU, in my opinion, regardless of the outcome of this football game in Arlington, should be in the college football playoff. If you're telling me both of your losses potentially come against a team, in Texas Tech, who, in my estimation, should get a bye in the college football playoff. Again, call me a homer if you want. I don't give a damn. Go look at the stats. Those guys are hooping out in the 806 on the gridiron, right? Like, they deserve a bye. If those are your 2 losses, you can go ahead and get in because you dominated everybody else you played, right? There was a scare here and there, but in the end, you ended up winning by, 2 possessions if you were BYU. This BYU team is legit. Joey McGuire and crew will obviously take them seriously, as they have done already this year, and it is going to be absolute cinema in Arlington, Texas. I will be there. I hope you will be there as well, because this is a monumental moment in this Texas Tech football program's history. They have a chance to win a Big 12 title. I know that there was, a picture or video, I think it was, that Texas Tech released of the trophy case, basically saying believe in a spot where they have the Big 12 title trophy reserved if they win it. This could be your opportunity to actually put some hardware there if you're the Red Raiders. And we'll talk about a little bit more in depth the odds here. And in fact, screw it. Let's get to the odds right now. Damn it. You don't need to hear me talk too much or about anything else. Let's go ahead and look at the odds. You see them on your screen right there. The Red Raiders, yes, you see that correctly, are 13.5-point favorites in a Big 12 title game. 50.5 is the over-under. The Red Raiders opened as 11.5, and since then they have gained 2 points in terms of the odds and spread in this one. You go ahead and look at some quick math here, and the Red Raiders, in terms of implied point total here, it's around 18. They think this is going to be like that 32-18 type game between Texas Tech and BYU. I'll be honest with you as we get into my score prediction for this one, and I want to hear from you guys down below your score prediction. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think Texas Tech left a lot of meat on the bone, and BYU did too. I think BYU will at least score double digits in this game. Don't get me wrong. I think they're a very talented team, but the Red Raiders are playing their best football of the season right now, and it couldn't come at a better time. I think they will be better in the red zone. It feels like they got a lot of those red zone lulls out of the way after facing teams like UCF and West Virginia. And again, this is a monumental increase in terms of competition between those two programs and BYU. I understand that, but the Red Raiders were seemingly at will getting into the red zone against BYU at home, and then they had a couple of drop passes in the end zone. You remember the one by Terrence Carter Jr. right before half, and Coy Aiken as well right before half. That was on third down, was Coy's, and then they went for it on fourth, and Terrence Carter Jr. dropped it. But the Red Raiders have had plenty of opportunities in the red zone against BYU. They capitalized with 5 field goals on those chances. I think the Red Raiders capitalize and get 6 and 7. No, don't do that. That's on me. I didn't mean to do the whole 6-7 thing, but you get what I'm saying. Okay. Texas Tech is going to score touchdowns in this game. Okay. And I think that the Red Raiders come out and they send a message to the committee. Damn it. We deserve a bye in the college football playoff. We are one of the 3 best teams in college football. Put us up there and give us some damn respect. Okay. And I think BYU, regardless of if they lose this football game, should be in the college football playoff, because again, if you lose twice to a top 3 team in the country and one of them is in the conference championship game, that shouldn't hurt you. You're 11-1. Playing in a conference championship game should not be a detriment to your resume. It should show, oh, damn, this team was really damn good. Let's give them the credit they deserve and put them in the college football playoff. So, Cougar fans, I'm right there with you. I think y'all should be in the college football playoff regardless of the outcome. That being said, I do think Texas Tech BTAs you out in Arlington. I really do. Do I think it could be closer in terms of feel? Maybe. I think BYU scores more points than they did out in the 806 in Arlington, but I think Texas Tech wins this football game, and I think they win it handily. I'm going to go ahead and say Texas Tech wins this football game 36-17. Let me know your score prediction down in the comments below. I'm telling you, I think this Texas Tech football team is right up there with the likes of Ohio State, Indiana. The only reason people aren't talking about them more is because they play in the quote-unquote Big 12. That's a lesser conference. Bullshit. This Texas Tech team is all kinds of legit and can play with anyone in the country. They're going to be sending a damn message on Saturday morning out in Arlington and Jerry World and bringing home the first Big 12 conference championship in program history on their way to what should be a bye in the college football playoff. Again, my score prediction, 36-17. Let me know your score prediction down in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button. This is going to be a hell of a ride, Texas Tech and Red Raider Nation. It's going to be a hell of a ride. All right. And if you want 100% free content surrounding your Red Raiders all year long, not just during this stretch run. No, we'll be talking portal as well. We'll be talking about spring ball and everything in between. But right now, our focus is on beating those damn Cougars from out in Provo in Arlington on Saturday morning leading into the afternoon. And if you want to be a part of the largest group of Texas Tech fans and the most engaging group of Red Raider Nation here on YouTube, this is the place for you. Just simply like the video and hit that subscribe button. All right, 36-17. That's my score prediction. Let me know yours down below. I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, stay safe and Recom Tech.